Panic is starting to set in as we inch closer to the general election. If you look at polling from swing states, unfortunately, Donald Trump has been able to narrow a giant gap between himself and Joe Biden. And now sources close to Bernie Sanders tell the Washington Post that Bernie's kind of worried about this and has advised Biden to pivot toward issues that, actually matter to the vast majority of people, as opposed to just focusing on the small group of never Trump Republicans who have helped him with the Lincoln Project or whatever it is. And so Sanders has told his associates that Biden is at risk of coming up short in the November election if he continues his vaguer, more centrist approach. Sanders says Biden should talk more about healthcare and about his economic plans and should campaign more with figures popular among young liberals such as Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, Bernie's campaign manager, Faz Shakir, did confirm with the Washington Post that Bernie has these critiques, and they're meant to be constructive critiques because Bernie wants Biden to beat Trump. That's what this story is about. Senator Sanders, Faz Shakir says, is confident that Joe Biden is in a very strong position to win this election, but nevertheless feels there are areas the campaign can continue to improve upon. He has been in direct contact with the Biden team and has urged them to put more emphasis on how they will raise wages, create millions of good paying jobs, lower the cost of prescription drugs, and expand healthcare coverage. And Sanders also kind of confirmed that he has these views during a recent interview on MSNBC. Let's watch.
Biden's in an excellent position to win this election, but I think we've got to do more as a campaign than just go after Trump. Trump is a disaster. I think most people know it. But we also have to give people a reason to vote for Joe Biden. And Joe has some pretty strong positions on the economy. And I think we should be talking about that more than we have. Now, we have done, Ali, 8 battleground states virtual rallies, talking to several million people. And I think what people want to hear is what Joe is going to do to raise the minimum wage, and he supports a $15 an hour minimum wage. What he's going to do to make sure that we create millions of good paying jobs in this country. And he has a very strong plan for the infrastructure. He knows that we can create jobs combating climate change, which God knows we need to do, seeing what's going on in the West Coast right now. They want equal pay for equal work. They want us to expand healthcare to as many people as possible, lower the cost of prescription drugs. I think those are some of the issues that people want to hear a little bit more from the Biden campaign about.
So Cenk, Bernie is essentially telling Biden, help me help you. And I don't know if he's gonna take the advice, but he needs to, because Biden is falling behind if you look at some of the polling in swing states, which we'll get to in just a minute, but I wanted you to jump in.
Yeah, so look, I think Biden's still winning by a comfortable enough margin, but yes, when I see the polls going down on 1 to 3 points in Florida, of course, given the fact that this might be the last election if Trump wins, of course that makes me nervous. Now, I'm going to talk slow for people who are in the establishment and have trouble understanding things. We want Trump to lose really, really badly. And by the way, way worse than you do. And certainly your leaders. Nancy Pelosi brazenly said halfway through, well, Trump's good for fundraising for me. That was one of the reasons she gave early on for not wanting to impeach Trump. It's sick. On the other hand, we are desperate for Donald Trump to not be president anymore because he's fascist and is a threat to our democracy. And we said that from day one. Now you guys are starting to catch on to that with a couple of months left. Welcome to the party. So yes, we want Biden to beat Trump. Is that clear enough? So, and we talk about it on the show all the time. We talk about voting all the time, but people in the establishment are losers. So they love to set up excuses ahead of time like they did in 2016 and they're doing now. Well, in case we lose with our dumbass strategy, we'll say that progressives didn't vote enough and that it was the Young Turks' fault and Bernie Sanders' fault. Okay, that's who the losers in the establishment. That's why we're nervous, because you guys are sorry ass losers who set up excuses instead of trying to win the goddamn election. You've got to win. So now, in terms of the particular suggestions, Bernie Sanders is saying policies that Joe Biden already has. So if Biden actually believes those policies, he doesn't have to move an inch. And in that case, we're not asking him to move an inch. We're saying, hey, schmuck, if you do believe in it, why don't you tell everybody you're gonna do $15 minimum wage? That would double the wages of millions of Americans who will then have, yes, honestly, an incentive to go vote for you, because you're gonna do the right thing and you're gonna look out for American workers instead of their corporate bosses. So it's everybody wants prescription drugs lowered, the price lowered.
Yeah.
So much so that Trump is pretending to do it. So Biden already has that policy, so why don't you emphasize it? We're asking you to win the election instead of doing what you're doing now. And remember now, everybody, the looters are rioters. The Republicans are right about them. They're terrible. And Republicans are so right. I put up half my convention were nothing but Republicans. And remember, I'm going to be more of a hawk than they are in foreign policy. No, do things that are popular.
No, but I know you think Donald Trump is stupid. I think he's stupid too, okay? But just bear with me as I make this point, because I think that this is really what's happening. I think there are people who are somewhat smart working on Trump's campaign. And I think they understand that with tens of millions of Americans unemployed right now, they need to do anything and everything to prevent Biden from endorsing or promoting policies that would actually appeal to a lot of voters across the board. And so they have pushed this campaign calling him like a radical leftist and a Marxist. And what does Biden do? He responds with, no, I'm not. No. In fact, I condemn and reject the rioters and looters. What? Right? Like he's decided to really move away from any robust policy discussion because he's so afraid of the Trump campaign painting him as a leftist. No, lean into it, okay? Because those are policies, as Bernie said, that appeal to a lot of people, especially right now in this moment of increased desperation due to the coronavirus, right? So I don't know, I don't know if he's gonna take the advice, but I did promise that I would show you what the polling shows in some of the swing states. So let's take a look at that. This is from Real Clear Politics. They take all the different polls and do the averages and all that. And if you look at Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Arizona, Trump did close that giant gap. So things aren't looking good in Florida, okay? And that's a bad sign. Biden is only leading by 1.2 points. He's likely to lose North Carolina. Biden's only leading by 0.8 points. He has the largest lead in Arizona with 5.6 points. But if you look at the next graph, you'll see how there was a far larger gap between them. And unfortunately, Trump was able to narrow that gap quite a bit. There it is.
Yeah. So look, guys, the Democrats could lose Florida and still win easy. They don't have to win North Carolina at all, and Biden still has a small lead in North Carolina. The fact that Biden has a lead in North Carolina is a great sign. So look, I don't want to create unnecessary panic, but I also don't want to create overconfidence like they did in 2016. At the end of the day, if you don't vote, nobody wins anything, and so. And Biden has to win by over 3 points in the popular vote to have a shot at winning the electoral college. So there's plenty of reasons why you should still be concerned. But in terms of these specific policies that Bernie's talking about, including equal pay for women, there's just no downside to it at all. So we're not talking about saying, hey, defund the police. We know he's not going to do that. We're not saying Medicare for all. Are we going to push for that after the election? Goddamn right we are, whether it's Trump or Biden. But in the midst of the campaign, we get it. Biden's not for Medicare for all. We're saying do the bare minimum, $15 minimum wage. So the only reasons why they might not be doing it is either they're not actually going to do any of that, and so they don't want to overpromise it now, which is just so painful to think about. Or the other reason is they think, oh, no, we have to appear really, really Republican before the election in order to win. So let's not feature any of the things that are in our proposals that are incredibly popular. Raising the minimum wage won by, got 62% of the vote in Missouri, 68% of the vote in Arkansas. They're incredibly popular, even in red states. But the idiots who lead the Democratic Party think, no, I'd rather believe Rush Limbaugh and Fox News about what voters think rather than what the polling actually indicates. So I'll try to copy Republican ideas before an election. Meanwhile, Trump and the other guys go, I'm against war. I'd like to lower prescription drug prices. I want to protect Social Security and Medicare. They're pretending to be progressives before the election. God, I mean, there's no end to the stupidity of the Democratic establishment. If we're in a panic at all, it is because we can't have these serial bunglers that are the leaders of the Democratic Party bungle this particular election. We cannot have you lose this one. So please remove your head from inside your ass.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.